Award-winning natural bodybuilder and international executive chef Ramel Griardi shares his best recipes for building strength. Sports performance trainer and nutrition expert Joe Arco coaches us through the nutritional components of those recipes and shares his knowledge working with professional athletes.
For those of you who think that spaghetti meatballs have no place in a muscle-building diet, you can't be further from the truth. Body Fuel has a secret weapon for you. Bodybuilding chef Ramel.
That's right, me. I'm the secret weapon, bodybuilding chef Ramel. Today we're gonna do a nice healthy style meatball. Nice, I love that. It's called Tutu's meatballs.
Tutu's meatballs.
Tutu's meatballs.
We'll figure out why in a little bit.
Okay, we're gonna start off with some nice lean ground turkey, some nice lean ground chicken, some whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, and an arrangement of nice herbs and spices.
We have a lot of beautiful spices here, a lot of different color. Now, fortunately for you, I've made meatballs in the past, so if you don't mind handing me those, I will get started with the meatballs and you can start frying.
I don't think so.
Whoa. What are we doing first then?
Actually, what we're gonna start to do is we're gonna start to saute our flavors together. We're using our onions, our garlic, our herbs and spices.
Okay.
So what we wanna do, Joe, is we wanna add some garlic.
Got some garlic in here. Now, one of the nice things about garlic is very antibacterial. It's also a very, very good antioxidant. So for people working out, you want to make sure you don't miss workouts. Garlic is a great way to keep the immune system nice and high, and the antioxidants found in the garlic as well will also counteract a lot of the free radicals caused by the working out itself.
So onions, garlic, some herbs. I'm going to add all my herbs.
What is that?
That was actually sage.
Sage. That was like
some basil.
I was going to guess something else.
A little oregano.
Good. Already starting to smell fantastic.
And pimentos.
Pimentos. Now this is going to add a lot of nice color to this meal as well.
That's exactly what you want. You want the look, the flavor, the taste, everything.
So right now we're sauteing all this flavor. So we have the onions, the garlic, all of our spices. We're gonna kick up the heat a little bit as well. We got some chili peppers here.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so all of this is going to be used now for our meatballs. Is that correct?
One more thing, Joe. We have a little bit of sun-dried tomatoes in there.
Excellent. So once this is all sauteed, we're ready to rock. What are we doing with this?
We're going to take half of this, Joe.
Okay.
And we're going to add this to our sauce to build up that flavor in that sauce.
So half of this is going to go into this pot right here that we're going to use for our sauce.
That's exactly
The other half is going to be set aside, and we're going to use that for the actual meatballs.
That's right, Joe.
Now, why are we setting them half and half?
Because we want to add the flavors into the actual meatballs itself and the sauce. So we're just going to add a little bit of
salt and pepper here. Okay.
For seasoning.
This is going to be fantastic. We got this over here.
We're going to add half of this to our pot.
Now, can I get started on the meatballs right away with that? Or are we gonna let that
No,
sit?
you can't. That's incorrect, Joe.
Okay. Now, the reason why Ramel's going to let this sit and let it cool down a little bit is if you use that right away, what's going to start to happen is you're going to start cooking that meat.
That's correct.
Right. Now, what do you want to do with that meat instead of cooking it right now?
What we want to do is we want to lay it aside. We're going to start to make our sauce itself.
Let's get some temperature going on in here.
A little olive oil, like a little extra virgin olive oil in there.
Excellent. Okay, so we got this. We're going to start bringing this up.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what we're going to start off with, Joe, is I want you to grab that big bowl right there.
Right there for you.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
We're going to add our lean ground turkey.
Now, the nice thing about using lean ground turkey and extra lean, are we using lean or extra lean here?
Extra lean, sorry.
Okay, so we have extra lean ground turkey, extra lean ground chicken. Now, compare this to a regular pork or a beef. It is amazing how much fat you actually save. 4 ounces of this will give you only about 6 to 7 grams of fat and about 20 to 25 grams of protein.
That is amazing, Joe.
Now, let's compare this to regular pork or regular beef. That can give you up to 4 times the amount of fat content. So we're looking at, for a 4-ounce portion, which we're going to be making into about 2 meatballs, you're getting almost 25 grams of fat for every 2 meatballs. That's a tremendous amount of fat, but we're going to basically be reducing that fat content and infusing some flavor. Thankfully,
wild.
we have you.
That is wild.
What are we doing with this bread? Now, I know it's this bread, and we have regular milk, soy milk in there?
Soy milk.
Okay. Now, for those of you who are either lactose intolerant or don't decide not to drink any dairy products, you can use a soy milk. Now, from a recipe perspective, can we also use a rice milk or almond milk if you choose?
You could use whatever you'd like, Joe, because it's up to you.
Perfect.
What we're using
So
is
we got our bread in
soy
here.
milk.
Now, I
we're gonna
noticed
dredge
too,
it.
we're not using bread crumbs.
No, we're not.
So this isn't dried bread. This is just regular 12-grain bread, full of flavor, plus high in fiber and all the nutrients of a whole wheat bread.
That's correct, Joe.
Excellent. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit of stir here. Actually, if you mind passing that to me over there.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, Joe. Stir that up nicely.
There we go. So we got this stirring up right now.
We have that stirring up. We have this soaking.
So we're gonna soak this for how long?
For right now, actually, all you want is just soak it a little bit, just to get that moisture in there.
I am dying. I'm dying right now.
Okay, you're dying.
I need to make a little meatballs.
Joe, I'm gonna let you make your meatballs.
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna add a little bit of egg yolks.
Now-
Actually, not egg yolks, egg whites.
Egg whites. Now the nice thing about as well is you could use whole eggs. Now we're going to use I believe there's 4 egg whites that we're putting in there.
That's correct, Joe.
If you were to use 4 whole eggs as opposed to just the egg whites, once again you're getting about another 24 grams of fat into these meatballs. So imagine cutting out the 24 grams of fat from the eggs, plus all the fat that we're taking away from using the extra lean chicken and the turkey as opposed to a regular meatball. All of a sudden we have an amazing dish here that is just full of flavor, amazing for athletes, amazing for people who want to build muscle and stay lean.
Now we're adding all of our flavor builders into that meatball itself. Once you start building that up and making up our meatballs.
So we're just going to be basically...
That's exactly it.
Okay.
I know it's a little messy, Joe, but you know what? It's
you
a
know what?
lovely
Someone's
thing.
got to do it. I get the
Exactly.
messy.
Better you than me.
Yeah, well, we'll see how well I do. So now we have all this flavor, which is nice.
Beautiful, Joe.
What do you want me to do now?
Beautiful, Joe. What I want you to do is I want you to start making like little 2-ounce meatballs. 1.5 to 2 ounce meatballs. Beautiful.
Now, what are we going to be cooking these meatballs in, Ramel?
We're going to actually not bake the meatballs. We're actually going to be make our sauce. Look at those plum tomatoes. Beautiful. Place your tomato plums in there, and you want to break down the larger parts first.
So we're getting some of the juices from those tomatoes. We're breaking down the fibers of the tomatoes.
Exactly.
So just like the garlic, we got 2 nice antioxidants here with the lycopene from the tomatoes and some from the garlic as well. So we're pretty much covered there. How are my meatball abilities?
Beautiful, Joe. Beautiful.
Okay.
See how the tomatoes are starting to break down nicely? And what we're trying to do there is try to get all the flavors out of that tomato. Now, once this comes to a boil, Joe, can you grab this, please?
Sure.
We're going to start to place our sugo in there.
So that juice that we had left over on the side, we can add that in now.
Exactly.
Everything's smelling fantastic.
And we're going to start to always make sure, Joe,
Yep.
season your food.
So what are we seasoning there with?
Salt and pepper.
Sea salt?
Sea salt, of
Excellent.
course. And we're going to add a little bit of sugar. Sugar will take away the acidity from that flavor you have a lot of acid in the actual tomato sauce itself.
So that'll help balance that out a little bit.
That's exactly it, Joe.
Excellent. Do you want to get our pan ready to heat up for our meatballs?
Yes, we will.
Okay, so we have our sauce ready. Our water is starting to boil here. Our next step is going to be searing off these meatballs. Now, are we actually going to cook the meatballs or are we just searing them off?
We're just searing them off just to bring up all the flavors in that meatball.
Now, what do you mean by sear?
Searing meaning that we're just going to brown it.
Okay, so this is a high heat, low heat, medium heat?
High heat.
Okay, so I can already hear the sizzle. Is that ready to go?
That's pretty much ready to go, Joe.
Okay. Ready for the meatballs?
Yes, I
Okay, I'll
am.
pass these to you. I'll let you take care of those.
Thank you, Joe.
There you go.
Thank you. We're going to take our meatballs.
So how long should this roughly
Sear
take?
them off. Well, Joe, we're actually going to brown the meatballs first. So by browning them, we're searing off all the flavors, all the juices, so that way they're not dry. We want nice, moist meatballs. We're going to take those nice meatballs, sear them all off. We have our sauce going at the same time, Joe.
Okay, so I'm gonna give this a little bit of a stir. This smells absolutely fantastic. Took a little bit longer to prep everything, but the flavor in this is gonna be unbelievable. This smells awesome. Now, how long does this have to basically sear for?
We're searing this off for just a few minutes. And what we're trying to do is just get a nice brown coloring, sear off all those flavors, all the goodness, all the moisture inside there.
Now this is already, look, we have a nice golden brown on here.
It's
is this
perfect.
fully cooked?
No, it isn't.
Okay, so where is this gonna be? How are we gonna finish cooking?
We're going to place this inside the tomato sauce itself.
We'll get this out of your way if you don't mind.
And what we're doing there is we're braising these meatballs.
What does braising mean?
Meaning that we're going to slow cook these meatballs. And that way all the flavors of the sauce is going to go into that meatball itself.
No, I'm not gonna lie, I've never really stood this long without eating food with it being in front of me. When you say we're gonna braise these, how long are we talking? Like 3-4 hours?
We're talking about 45 minutes.
I can wait probably another 45 minutes. So do you want the lid on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's get the lid on here. So far we have everything. We got our meatballs in here. Our sauce is now ready. We're gonna cook some pasta. Let this finished cooking, and we're ready to eat.
Yes, we want to do a nice al dente in that pasta. That means like 10 minutes cooking, depending on how thick the pasta is and how long it's going to take.
Now, do you want to do the pasta now, or should we wait a little bit longer?
We're going to wait till this is cooked.
What do you want to do in the meantime?
In the meantime?
A couple push-ups, some squats?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, well, let's go. Okay, our spaghetti is now done. Our meatballs have been sitting in here for 45 minutes, and these smell unbelievable. What do I need to do now?
Now, I want you to drain that out for me, Joe.
Okay, so right in here we have our whole wheat pasta.
Yes, it is.
Now, for a lot of people that have that whole anti-carb or low-carb issue, for those training, this is a fantastic meal post-workout. It's got all the carbs that you need. Not to mention, if you are a little more on the carb-conscious side, what I'd recommend doing is just minimizing some of the pasta that you use and maybe maximizing some of the protein source from the meatballs. Now, Ramel here is going to be plating this using a very funny looking fork there. What do you got going on here?
Actually, it's a roasting fork, Joe.
Roasting fork, spaghetti, makes sense.
Yes, roasting fork for spaghetti. What I want to do is I want to wind that spaghetti up.
All about the presentation.
It's all about the presentation. You
From
never
the
get
hair
a second
to the
choice.
arms to the eyes. It's unbelievable.
That's it. You never get a second choice chance for a first impression. That's right, Joe.
Now, one thing we forgot to talk about here. These are called Tutu's meatballs. Where did that come from?
Tutu's meatballs because I have an ex-girlfriend and her son loves my meatballs.
His name was Tutu?
No, actually, it was Edward.
His little nickname then.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So I guess he loved making these.
No, he loved eating them.
I see. I'm going to be like eating these too. So what we got here, we have our pasta set down. We are now putting our meatballs on here. And again, these meatballs are roughly about 2 to 3 ounces per meatball. So 2 meatballs alone are giving you almost about 40 to 50 grams of protein and less than 10 grams of fat. That is an unbelievable high protein meal for an otherwise low protein, high carbohydrate pasta dish, which is phenomenal for those people looking to gain a lot of muscle. Now that looks absolutely wonderful.
Isn't it?
It looks great.
It looks great, but it also tastes good and it's good for you. You know, you were talking about a nice high protein meal.
Yes, sir,
for muscle building, and look at that.
That looks fantastic.
Isn't that gorgeous?
That is good.
Smells good, tastes good, and it's good for you.
Now let's recap what we got here. So instead of using the high-fat pork and the beef and what you normally find in those spaghetti and meatball dishes that are still full flavored, today we've decided to use
turkey
and chicken, extra lean on top of that. So we've saved ourselves probably about 25 to 30 grams of fat per 4 ounces of meatballs, which is huge. Not only that, but for our stuffing and our breading, we used a nice, what do we use for our bread?
We used the 12 grain bread.
Excellent. And what do we use? A
little soy milk.
Soy milk and also a little egg white. So we saved a lot of fat today on this meal. Not to mention we've packed it full of a whole wheat pasta instead of a regular pasta.
Exactly.
And what we're going to do here is supply the body with the fuel that it needs for the training purposes. So if you want to lift heavy, you want to train hard, your body needs fuel. It can't just be run on greens and protein alone. So we are absolutely complete here with this meal.
And you know what? Next time you're thinking of a lean, high protein spaghetti meatball dish, remember, Tutu's meatballs.
This was absolutely phenomenal today. I couldn't believe how easy this was to make, how quick it was.
And you know what? That's what's good about it. It's easy, high protein, full of flavors.
You know what else is good?
What's that?
I'm gonna go eat this now while you do some dishes.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem.
Nothing better than that, eh?